Very good.
Okay, so today we have Ignite Session 10, which is how to keep your leads. Today, our instructor, we have the pleasure of Susan Heron. She is with Red Door Associates. She's the rainmaker of that team. And she's been in the business how many years? Because you were here during the last shift. 18. So she's been through several different markets. I know we've talked shift for over a year here, so she may be a great point of reference for that. And what was your production last year?
Not good. And we'll talk about that. a little
Okay.
bit. Not really
But
great.
she's on our top 10% because she is a member of our 2023 ALC. So I think she's being a little humble and that's okay. So, but it's my pleasure to introduce Susan.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I am Susan Heron. I was formerly Susan Stowe. So that even catches me off guard sometimes to hear Susan Heron, but I just had my 2nd year anniversary. I have 7 kids. My husband and I do combined. I have 5 and he had 2, ages 32 to 9. Think about that. So I'm a grandma. I'm 54 years old. I do powerlifting as my out, and that kind of came about weirdly. I'm not your typical person to be active in the gym, but that's all kind of part of my story. I grew up in Colombia, South America. My parents were missionaries there. And then I came back to the States in 17 and was pretty much on my own. So youngest of 6, mother of 5. My last child was born after I started my real estate career, and I was negotiating a contract 2 hours after I delivered him because I didn't have any leverage. So as you guys go through today, if you have questions, I realized as I sat in the ALC meeting recently, there's not a lot of us that have been through the last shift. And so if I can be of any help to you at all, if you're just having a rough day and you go, I don't know if I can do this, if I'm cut out for this, I want y'all to write down my personal cell phone because it's not what's on my business card. It's 417-299-2758. My office is upstairs and on that side of the building, on the north side of the building, it's Red Door Associates. So also formerly known as the Stowe Realty Group. So people are like, who the heck are you? I was Stowe Realty Group before. When you get married and you have your old name, you kind of have to figure out how to do that. So I just went ahead and went with the generic name, not generic, but not anything to do with my name, because I really want the people on my team to feel like it's their team, not just it's all about me. So anyway, okay, so today we're going to talk about leads and how to keep them. And can anybody define a lead to me? What is a lead?
Basically, someone that you earn the right to have at least a one-way conversation.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts?
See someone who's expressed interest in moving in the next year.
Anything else?
You need your contact info.
I kind of look at anybody that I've talked to as a lead. If I can capture any kind of information. And by the way, there's this wonderful thing called White Pages Premium. And if you want to find somebody, you can usually cross-reference. If you get an address, if you get anything, sometimes somebody will call me, their number's not saved in my phone. I want to know who I'm calling them. I want to know who I'm calling back. Come on in, guys. So Chris is really good at stalking people and finding them. Now, the new no-call list has been the topic lately. My husband ironically got a thing saying you might qualify for a lawsuit involved with Keller Williams. And he's like, hey, and so just be really careful about that. Dialers will get you in trouble. And I don't know that any of you guys are using those at this time, but there's just a lot of questions about whether you should call people. So run those numbers through the do not call list. But White Pages Premium is worth every dime, in my opinion. And it's a great resource to find people. There's sometimes 8 numbers on there. You might not get them the first time, but you might have to call several numbers before you do that. And that's been a great resource for us because people will, you want to keep the leads, but every time we send a mailer out, we get mail back and we find out that somebody in our database has bought a house with somebody else. So what was I not doing if that happens? I wasn't staying in touch. They had a family member that got into real estate. There's, a million reasons. I didn't do a good enough job the last time. Heaven forbid that should happen. But honestly, sometimes people just go with a different direction. They meet somebody and they go, oh, come list my house. I recently had a client who I felt very loyal. He went to school with my oldest daughter. They called and said, we'd really like to work with you. You're awesome. Wish we could work with your daughter, because my daughter used to be on my team. And then all of a sudden, his wife tells me, yeah, he really wasn't going to list with you. Oh, thanks. After we poured our hearts into it, we found out that he had a buddy who got his real estate license and wanted to help, wanted to give him the opportunity. And she was like, no, I really want to work with Susan. So they ended up listing with us. Well, we ended up having a lot of issues with the house they bought, and we had to know. So y'all are our competition, and we're your competition because we have the experience. Y'all are new and fresh and excited and all that, but we can learn from each other. So I will tell you up front, technology is not my thing. If you have a technology problem, come to my office. Krista can answer it for you. She's a whiz at command and all that. I've been fortunate to be able to leverage a lot of my business because I have children, and now I'm helping raise a 9-year-old. I'm back into mom role a lot. So my business has reflected that. So that's why when Landon said that, I'm like, last year wasn't such a big year for me because I was playing the role of mom and kind of delegating to my team. So once you get to a certain production level, you can do that. But what's the best way to grow your business? You have to have people to call, right? You have to have people to work with. So, y'all came in, a few people came in later. How long have you all been in business?
I've been with Keller Williams since 2019,
Okay.
licensed since 04.
Okay, so you got licensed right before I did then. So you saw that crazy.
Except for I wasn't really practicing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, very good.
I knew.
Brand new? Okay, when is
I got
your,
my license in the summer, but just now, this year really starting.
okay, did anybody else come in after?
Yeah, I got my license officially sent here like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So
Okay, I just love it. I was new. There was no classroom for me to sit in. My first broker was a turkey hunter, and he could tell you anything and everything you want to know about turkey hunting. And that was about it. So when I started, the contracts were in triplicate. You had to write heavy because you had carbon papers. I'm 54 years old, guys. I'm okay with that. But my first listing appointment was a neighbor down the street, and I did not have a clue what I was doing. So if you're sitting here today and going, I don't know what I don't know, it's okay. We've all been there before. And I really did not know what I was doing, but I helped her paint her house. I helped her clean. I helped her babysit her kids. I helped her do anything I could to get them moved. And I learned a lot from that transaction. I also acted in that first transaction as a dual agent, which is, once you've done that and you understand the ethics of it, it's really awesome. But at the time, then my second transaction, I didn't have access to all the information on the other side, and it really messed me up. I was like, well, that's not fun. But anyway, so I've learned everything that I've learned the hard way. I promise you, if you will follow these systems, it will pay off. The one thing my first broker told me, and I say this in every single class that I've taught, is if you will not make this about your paycheck. If you will take care of people, don't figure your paycheck, don't worry about that at all. If you will take care of people, you will always have money in your bank account. Okay. If nothing else resonates with you today, I want you to hear that, because if buyers and sellers can tell when you're all about the money, they can just tell. And even sometimes when you're not about the money, they assume that you're about the money. So you have to prove to them that you really care. And I think that's where you keep these leads. I think it's in the caring for people that you can keep the leads. So everybody committed to the 2 hours that we've got here? Okay. Do you guys, everybody's sitting kind of spread out. Are you guys getting together in groups and doing the activities? pretty much. Everybody talking and all that. As much as y'all will participate, the more I can find out where you're at in your business and we can help you, okay? So we're gonna talk about keeping leads today, and we define a lead as basically anybody that we've talked to, okay? We're gonna move this conversation from a one-way conversation to a two-way conversation today. And of course, now this isn't. Has anybody had trouble getting this to work? It was working earlier.
Everybody.
We're gonna keep moving. I've got notes here so I can go with that, but in the meantime, I'll get somebody down here.
I think they keep using the pad instead of that pointer. I don't know if that'll work.
She's told them to move the mouse or click the mouse before to try to activate it.
This is why I don't like technology. This is why I hand my phones to my kids. All right. So if y'all get to know me, you'll know that I have a Krista in my life. Krista is the woman who holds my world together. She came to work with me in 2012 and has been there with me through all kinds of crazy, not just in business, but life, and is the one that says, sit down, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm super grateful for her. And my hope for you guys is at some point you guys can leverage your business to where you can have a Krista, because our saying at home is everybody should have a Krista in their life. And she's really amazing. She's really, and when you find that person that gets you and that you trust to write blank checks and leave and go out of town and say, fill this out when you get the amount, that's huge, really, really huge. So anyway, okay, well, let's keep going. Let's see, today we are going to, well, tell me real quick, what are some of the ahas that you guys have had so far in your class, in your classes? Anything?
I think one of the biggest things is making it more about the relationships, focusing on that rather than trying to do some kind of hard sell or that type of thing.
Okay, that's great. That's huge. Okay. Anybody else?
We did a lot with Command yesterday and just starting to understand how that helps you with those relationships, like helps you keep track of birthdays or home anniversaries or something like that for you so that you can continue that.
It's really a form of leverage if you'll use it. Yeah. Anything else? Has anybody had any closed transactions so far? Okay. Okay, how many? One, buyer, seller?
So I used to be with another agency,
Okay.
so I did one with them and then one with here since
Okay.
I've been here.
Okay. What brought you to Keller Williams?
Education,
Okay.
because I wasn't educated there very well and I wanted to grow my business and I came here and been doing
That's
it.
awesome. Okay. And how about you? Bob, Rob? I don't know. He had his mouth full of sandwich. I'm still not sure what his name is.
Rob,
Rob. What was your,
I was a buyer this month and then I got a seller that will be coming up next month, so it's under contract right now.
okay, very good, very good. Okay. All righty, let me see what Krista said. 'Cause I really want you guys to see the graphics. Okay, somebody's coming down. All right. I like what you said about relationships, because I can tell you that I couldn't tell you how many years ago, but it used to be call, ask for business, do this, do that, say this, say that. And all of a sudden, a few years ago, I remember going to I don't know if it was family reunion or mega camp, which I highly recommend you guys go to when you can and you can afford it and everything. But all of a sudden they started talking about relationships and I went, now I can buy into this because for me, this business is all about relationships. The listing appointment I had this morning was a girl I met when I first moved here, a lady. We were involved together in an activity and today I listed her mom's second or third house. I've helped her brother buy a house, sell a house. I've helped her buy and sell several houses. I've been through a few marriages and divorces with her. The relationship though is just rock solid. And I texted her this morning first thing and said, how are you holding up? Because her mom's 80 years old. So she's doing a lot of the legwork. That relationship is rock solid and that's a big deal. COVID also brought a lot of that out to us and hey there.
Hi.
It was working and then Landon left and it's not working. So,
Oh, no.
and I'm afraid I'm gonna mess something up.
Just the clicker?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then COVID came and all of a sudden we're sitting at home going, well, what do? You know, you've got to figure out. And so relationships really came to be at that time. You're starting to think, who can't get out and who can't get groceries? What can I do to help people? Who's sick? Who's got, elderly parents that live in the area and they're out of state. So you start thinking about all that stuff and relationships play a big role into that. Okay. There we go. Is it just the keypad that we need to use?
I don't know why it's not connecting.
Oh, I thought it just did. Just now.
Did it just now?
Maybe.
Yes.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, so real estate expert, I love that because you guys know more about real estate than the average person does. Just so you know that you may not think you do right now, but you do, and people will see you as the expert. I hate the phrase fake it till you make it. But there's some part of showing up and going, I know what I'm doing. And if you don't know, don't act like, don't say you do, but go find the answer for people. People will respect you a ton if you do that. But you are the expert. So we're going to take you a little step further. You guys have talked about lead generation. Who loves lead generation? Okay, you're weird. Most people don't like it. But it's cool that you're there because so many people don't want to pick up the phone and call. I still struggle with that at times. And if you're not growing your business, then you're just kind of staying stagnant. Okay. So lead generation is really important. Have you guys had any funny stories, called the wrong numbers, gotten any business from that? Anything? Weird? Nothing at all? Okay. All right. I will tell you a tip too. When you think of somebody, text them or call them. It's unbelievable how many times I've opened up Facebook the day or two or week after I thought of somebody and there's their house listed with another realtor. And I had thought of them the week before. I don't know how that works. You can say it's spiritual. You can say it's just whatever. And there they are. Or I will call them and they'll say, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you called me today because my husband and I were just going to reach out to you next week because we're getting ready to move and blah, blah, blah. If you think of somebody, call them. It's crazy how it works. And it's really disheartening when you go, oh, wow, if I would have called them last week, they would have maybe listed with me. Who knows? Okay. So lead follow-up. That's where we're going to be today. All righty, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about keeping every leads, following up with leads, strengthening relationships, and then qualifying the potential buyers and sellings and moving them to the purposeful, hey, we're ready to do some business together. Okay. All right, let's define what lead follow-up is. You guys meet me at the grocery store and you have a graphic shirt on and I go, hey, what's Red Door? Says Litton Keats. What's Litton Keats? And you tell me.
It's the team I work for. real estate.
Oh, okay. Hey, I was thinking about selling my house this year. So I'm really glad that I ran into you. These are conversations that we have, by the way. Okay. Thought about selling my house. So yeah, that's really cool that I ran into you today.
That's great. I'd love to help you out if I can be of service for you. Can I have your phone number?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I know another realtor. I promise. This is all good. Don't be embarrassed. I want you to think beyond just, okay, here's my phone number.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. All right, so here's what I might say. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Waterford in Ozark. Oh, okay, that's awesome. Now, what was your name again?
Emily.
Okay, Emily, what's your last name? You know,
Well, yeah.
so, okay, now I know your last name. I know what neighborhood you live in. Where am I gonna go to find that information? Huh?
White pages.
White
Facebook.
pages, tax record, whatever. Handwritten note, hey, met you at the store the other day. Just want to make sure you have my phone number or offer your phone number. But if I give them my phone number, do I have a lead? Okay. If I get something from them, do I have at least a possibility of a lead? So take that conversation one step farther and ask a little bit, questions. So Wes and I call them Keats, they'll be so impressed if you're like, look, I found this person. And so sometimes at an open house, even they may not want to give me information and they may not want to sign something or whatever. I'm listening and then I'm taking notes and I text my team random cryptic messages and they're like, what the hell is that all about? I'm like, oh, never mind, I'll explain it later. So just try and pick up clues. Oh, you live in that neighborhood. What's your name? Oh, great. When were you thinking about moving? Hey, we've got some great knowledge about the real estate market and things are changing really quickly. So please feel comfortable reaching out because I know you're going to have a lot of questions. Here's another good question. When was the last time you sold your house, sold or bought a house? Oh, it's been 5 or 6 years. Oh, the market's very different. And I'm an expert in this market now. So, I stay in education and all that. So just talk. So you come home. So say I do say, okay, here's my phone number. Great. So what do you do with that?
I just create a follow-up message saying it was great to meet you. I know you're interested in selling later this year. Probably just asking more questions about the time frame.
Right. Okay. So do you wait a month to send that message?
Send it the night that I talked to you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's crazy what happens when you say, it was so awesome to run into you. I'm glad we met. Hey, I just want to let you know I'm here to help you. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the real estate market. And they respond. And then that becomes a two-way conversation. Okay. I had a real thing about asking people for email addresses. I don't know why. I cannot explain it to you. You can ask Krista. She's like, did you get their email? No. Did you get their phone number? No. Get their phone number and email. And then develop put it in command. That's the other thing is the first time I was setting up a database, I literally had pieces of paper with people's phone numbers. The first time I started to send out Christmas cards, I'm like, I don't even know where to start because I didn't have it organized. But see, you have to have a place to put it. You have to put it down, but then you have to take that home at the end of the day and spend a little bit of time. I will tell you guys, there was a time I worked from 6:30 in the morning till about 10:30 at night until I could leverage. And then you get to where you can hand it to somebody in your office and say, here's a contact that I got. They need to be set up on a search. Here's what they're looking for. Guys, that's a cool place to be in this industry, to be able to do that and have somebody that you trust enough to follow through and actually know that they're going to put them on the search that you're asking for. And they're going to put them on a Christmas card list and that kind of thing. So, okay. Let's see. Lead follow-up. Okay. Following up with the lead is more than just putting them in your database. You've got to figure out who they are. And we'll talk about that I think a little bit later, is making sure that you put them on the right search, or you have them labeled as the right person. They're a first-time home buyer. One of the examples it gives is, if they're an investor, you're not gonna send them a book on how to buy a house the first time, be a first-time home buyer. So know who your leads are. And I can tell you too, putting notes in command, because you may think you know every lead right now, but 20 years down the road, 18 years down the road, you're not going to know who everybody is. And I may buy a house now and go, I think I sold that house to them, but I'm not sure. If you take good notes, then you'll know. Yeah. So I can't stress that enough. Okay, so let's talk about the life of a lead. I love this graphic. So, people typically move about 3 times in their lifetime. That comes and goes. The numbers are, I think, always changing, but in general, you can count on people moving 3 times. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of clients who've been in their house for 10 months and they want to sell, or they've been there for a year or less than 2 years. And so it does happen more often. And people tell us all the time, this is my forever house. And then 10 months later, they call and say, we're pregnant and we weren't planning on having more kids, but we've outgrown our house, or my husband's taking a job, or my wife's taking a job, or whatever. So never assume that people are in their forever houses. We hear it all the time. Circumstances change, somebody gets sick, they can't afford the house, the market does something weird, whatever the situation is. So if I were to give you a lead right now, somebody's just moved, and I say, tell me your name again. Zeb, okay. Zeb, this person just moved, so here you go. Here's contact for you. What are your thoughts?
I guess just put them in command, put them in the database and keep touch with them through the years.
Is it a good lead or a bad lead?
Probably, I don't know. I would think it would be a bad one since they just moved.
Do you need a paycheck in 5 years?
Well, yeah.
Any lead is really a good lead, but yeah, I get it. This is a cold lead. It's like, well, they just moved. Why would I want to stay in touch with them? Why could you stay in touch with that person? Referrals, that's an excellent answer. The other thing is, what if they just got done moving and they had a bad experience with their realtor? 2 reasons. Can you learn from that experience? Tell me what your last experience, I ask this all the time. Have you bought or sold before? Yes. How did that go for you? It was a holy nightmare. Tell me what happened. And then they go, our realtor never talked to us. We never heard from them. And one thing that happens on bigger teams is I never saw the person that I thought I was listing my house with. So we have to be really careful in that environment. Who else is on a team? Okay, what team?
Robinson and Lyons.
Okay, and you?
Or Caution Driscoll.
Okay, very good. So a lot of times, that's one of the reasons why I went with a name, the name Red Door, because I don't want them to expect me to show up every time. So I have to be really good about my scripts on that. You guys can do the opposite and say, you get to work with just me, only me. You're never going to have a stranger show up at your house because it's always going to be me. So the other thing is referrals, that was great. That wasn't even the direction I was going in. That's absolutely true. You can learn from that experience. And also, what did I just say before? People, do they always wait the 7 to 10 years? No. If they've had a bad experience, they might need somebody to talk to and say, this is what happened. What did I miss? And you have an opportunity to grow that relationship right here so that when they're here, you've stayed in touch this whole time. If I give you a lead right now, tell me your name again. Dawn. I give you a lead right here. Is that a good lead or a bad lead? They've moved here. They're getting ready to move again, and I give you the lead right here.
I think it's always a good lead.
I
Stay in
agree.
contact with them.
I agree. I managed a website one time that was just people logging on. It was when you had to get listing information, you had to give them your name, email. I got really tacky names, emails and things like that also, but I got some really great leads that are still people that I work with, and they've actually become friends of mine because I've been in a relationship with them. But they when I first reached out to them, they were moving to the area, they said, but we're not moving for 6 months. And my first thought was, okay. And then I said, yeah, I know, but when you're ready to move here in 6 months, I'd like to help you. That impressed them so much. And guess what happened? A month later, they called and said, hey, change of plans. We're coming to Springfield this weekend. Can you help us? So because I didn't go 6 months, seriously, I don't want to wait that long. I'm telling you guys, you're going to need a paycheck in 6 months. You're going to need one in 2 years. You don't know what the world's going to be like next month at this point. So be thinking about that. Always, there's never a time to jump into this curve here, okay? Two things can happen too in this curve from here to here is you get super busy, you don't take good care of them in this stretch. What are they gonna do? They might call somebody else, okay? What I've had happen several times and what the testimony from this morning is, I've been not just with this client where she's moved, she's gotten a divorce, she's bought a house, sold a house, bought a house. And then her mom, her brother, the referral thing, it's insane. She's, we're already working with her brother to figure out how we can get the three of them moved a little bit closer to each other. So this 7 to 10 year thing, some of you guys haven't been around long enough to understand, this has been shortened quite a bit here recently because people are going, ooh, I can get a lot for my house. If I can find a house to buy, I can get a lot more house for my money. This has been a good time for people to make that move. Now interest rates are playing a role in some of that stuff. Don't let that all get in your head though. Please don't let it get in your head. When I went through the whole market shift before, I didn't have anybody telling me that. And I just kept showing up at the market center. And people were asking me, are you still trying to sell real estate? Well, yeah, I am. And it paid off. When the market started to shift back, I was in a really good position. And that's when Krista came to be and, the rest is history. So but just be mindful about how this happens. And it doesn't matter if you meet the lead here, you meet the lead here or here. What happens? Hate to talk about it, but what happens right here?
Maybe I'm actually dealing with one that somebody who's interested, their mother's passed and now they're dealing with her estate. And I'm the one that he contacted.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah. Let me tell you, this end of life thing is a very different conversation with a lead than here. And keeping this lead here is a lot of relationship, a lot of caring, a lot of, I'm really sorry that your parents passed away, you're in this, you're having to deal with this alone. Do you have any siblings helping you? All that stuff. Then what happens with the son or daughter? They're somewhere in here if you've done a good job. I did a lot of work with seniors for a while. We were involved in a retirement community. And my first thought was, great, they all die. That's lovely. Because you sell their house and then they're gone. Or they're gone and you sell the house. And so you've got to figure out how to keep that business going. And if you take care, people do remember. And the retirement communities we worked in, they knew we were going to take care of people. They knew we cared beyond just getting a paycheck. And I walked through houses with little old ladies while they shared all their stories of all the parties they had in their house, or this is, my husband and I used to dance in the kitchen together and just stayed and listened. And if you can take yourself to that place with them, it's a beautiful thing. And anyway, I can go up on that stuff for forever. So, okay. So we're taking stuff from possible business where you run into the person at the grocery store, maybe, kind of, sort of, to probable business where they go, yeah, here's my information, and you follow up with them. They go, oh, I'm so glad you text me. We've actually moved our time frame up now. We said we're going to list in 6 months. We need to list next week. We just lost our jobs. We got to get out of this house, whatever the situation is. So life is not so predictable. I found that out the hard way myself, and I'm sure you guys have as well. And then taking it to the profitable part where they actually do list with you. So any questions so far? Thoughts, comments, peanut gallery, Back Row Baptist?
Well, you were talking about asking right after they bought a house, if it's a good time, if is that a good lead or not? And you hear stories about it, but I am very surprised in just the short amount of time that I've actually been productive, how many of those clients become repeat clients within the year.
Yeah.
Because they really thought they wanted to live in the country, but they didn't, or vice versa. So it is, they think they've bought what they want, but a lot of times it doesn't take them long to figure out that I've made a mistake.
And we have a listing right now in Mansfield. If anybody knows anybody wants to live in Mansfield, it's a lovely house on some acreage. And they've been in their house 10 months. What happened in the last 10 months to gas prices? Yeah. And so their mom, let's see, her brother went to school with my oldest daughter, another one. And the mom called me we listed the house for the parents who have been in the house for 20 years, end of life. Now they're moved into a smaller place and all that. They've used 3 or 4 other realtors, hasn't worked out so well for them. Mom said, I'm putting my foot down, you're calling Susan. That's it. So that's where that went. Now the daughter, she goes, now I told my daughter just to call a local realtor in Mansfield, because I'm sure you don't go out that far. I'm like, excuse me, what are we all having trouble getting right now? Listings, right? I'm like, I'll do Mansfield. Yeah. Was there a time I wouldn't? No, not really. You know, it's a drive. It's a little bit of drive. I can listen to an Audible. I can make phone calls. I can clear my head, whatever on the drive out there. So worth it. So now we've got the kids' house listed. Guess where they're buying? Guess why they're buying? They didn't like Mansfield because it's too far. Gas is high. They spend all their time here. Now where are they buying? In Ozark. That's 5 miles from me. You know, I live in Nixa, so I'm like, you bet. So is it worth it to do that? But that's how that whole thing came along, and it started with end of life here. They know the other graphic, sorry, but turning it into probable business. Has the whole family done business with me in the past? No, they bought the house in Mansfield without me, because I probably would have said, hey, have y'all thought about this? Like, your dad lives here, your mom, your stepdad live here. You've got 4 kids. You work in Springfield. Why Mansfield? Why does that look good to you guys? And at least then they would have thought it through. But there was a realtor somewhere that said, yay, somebody wants to buy a house, and didn't say, hey, maybe you should not do that. That's maybe not the smartest. Okay, I told you the one thing my broker said that was helpful. There was another thing too. He told me, he said, Susan, you talk more people out of buying a house. He was really discouraged. He's like, you talk more people out of buying houses than you do buy them. I said, if it's not a good fit for them, I don't want to run into them. I live in Nixa. Let me tell you, there's nowhere I go that I don't run into somebody that I know or went to school with my kids or whatever. And I don't want to run into them and they go, really? You didn't look out for us? So it's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. Okay. All right. So what is the stats? Do you guys have that in your book? It's 80, it's 60. Oh gosh, let me see if I can find it because it's kind of cool. Most people will only reach out to 1 or 2 agents for buyers. Yeah, if I come across it, I'll share it with you. The point is, very few people talk to multiple agents. So you have to be the first one that they talk to. If you're not the first or second one, I know y'all have, especially you guys have probably leads in your database that we have in our database. So who is somebody going to remember when they come to it? If you haven't been in touch with them, if you haven't been communicating, if they've never heard from you past, we bought the house and now we've moved on, you've kind of lost out. So if you're not the first or second on their mind, you probably won't get the business. When somebody calls you and you don't answer the phone and they go, well, I happen to know another agent, I'll call them, and they answer the phone. Who's most likely to going to get the business? Okay. It's really a lot of it's a timing thing. Relational is a big deal. But there are people out there, and I know them, I'm married to a man who's like, I know, but it's cheaper over there. And I go, I know, but I have a relationship with this person and I have for, 10 years. So I know it costs us a little more money to do business with them, but I don't want to lose that relationship. And then he understands that in our industry, sometimes you do keep a relationship just to say, hey, I appreciate you so much. So, by the way, I'll do a plug for vendors. I know they talked about it in the sales meeting this morning. I was listening from my office. Thank your vendors. They do amazing things and they will help you leverage some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So get to know them, have lenders that you can talk to, have insurance agents. People don't know who to call when they're going through this transaction. You've got to be the 411 on everything for them. Okay. Anything so far? Comments? Anything? Questions?
I enjoyed your example about, if you were to be their realtor, bringing up gas prices and your family, lives here. What's appealing about that? Because that's really good insight in how to make a strong, stable connection. I'm looking out for you. I'm thinking of things that you may not be.
Yeah.
I just really liked it.
When you guys start, is everybody here a homeowner? It's not uncommon if you're not, by the way. Is everybody a homeowner? Okay. Some are not. Okay. Until you've lived in a few houses, you don't really know sometimes the flow of things that are really important. For example, the fourth house I bought, you'd think I'd learned, didn't look through the kitchen well enough. Well, open the dishwasher the first time, putting dishes up above the dishwasher, leave the door open, come up. And I mean, I went back down. It hurt so hard. It was the day we moved in. And for the next 16 years, because I just sold that house about 4 months ago, every time I wanted to unload my dishwasher, I'm pulling stuff out, setting it on the counter, closing the dishwasher, doing this number. So it's our job to know, hey, you told me that this is important to you and this house doesn't have that. Should we even look at the rest of this house? You've got to be that person to speak up and say, they will so respect you. And that relationship is really strong when you do that.
Assertiveness, to
Yeah.
bring that problem to their attention. You might worry that, oh, I don't want to seem like, act like they're lower intelligence. It's not like that.
No, because you are the expert and you'll be thinking about those things. So, wait till you have husbands and wives who are not on the same page. That's a lot of fun. And then your marriage counselor, along with babysitter, along with financial advisor, along with, hey, we need to get your house ready to sell and you don't know how to decorate and things like that. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Along the way, if anything, if you guys have questions, don't hesitate. Okay. So how to lead follow up. You got that lead, you follow up immediately with the text. If I don't respond, what do you do?
I would just create a plan to maybe follow up every 2 to 3 days.
I'll tell you something that, well, it might not work in this situation, but I would keep at it. For sale by owners, we haven't dealt with a lot of those, but there was a time when that was like a thing. And it was the agent that would keep contacting that person, say, hey, I know I called you last week and the week before and the week before that and the week before that. But do you have any questions? How's it going? Oh my gosh, we are so frustrated. We've had nothing but realtors call us and we just need you to come list our house right now. I'm done. I'm done with for sale by owner, that whole thing. It's not working for me. You're the one that's called them constantly. So that's what you want to do is just keep touching. Hey, don't want to be a bother to you, but you seemed interested. So I wanted to make sure I follow up. I want to make sure you're getting my text. Are you getting my text? I'll tell you a script that works really well when somebody is not returning calls. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but you've already made contact. You've got some kind of relationship with them and they don't respond. Hey, this is Susan Herron, Red Door Associates, Keller Williams. I'm a little concerned because I've left you several messages and I haven't heard back. Are you okay? Is everything going okay? People are more prone to pick up the call and go, oh my gosh, she really, one, cares. Secondly, I've been ignoring her. Now she thinks something wrong. I've had people call and say, I'm so sorry, I haven't returned your calls. I've just been busy, or we just aren't ready and we, whatever. Great, I'm so okay. I'm just glad you're okay. Do you think they care? Okay. We're gonna get into the touches and stuff here in a minute, so I won't go into that yet. Okay, so you've gotten we're getting into the post follow-up. Oh, here we go. Look, huh? Okay, so we get a lead. We've made that somehow we got that information. We maybe haven't had a two-way conversation with them yet. We've had a one-way conversation. I got their information, they gave it to me, but that's not really a two-way yet. We haven't started any kind of fluid conversation. So, but a lead, you would take that person, depending on how much you can get information you get, or how much you can, let's just use the term stock. You're gonna set this up. So does anybody have any questions about this, or has anybody done any of this yet?
Not the way I'm supposed to.
Okay, I love that. Thank you for being honest, because I don't think I did it the way you're supposed to until a while ago. But anyway, so this is a system for just leads. You've gotten a phone number, an email, a name, you can find an address. Anyway, so the phone calls are your very best. Hey, I was calling. Let's talk about just the phone calls for a minute. During COVID, the market went kind of nuts. And I had one client say, we don't want to put this house on the market. I said, why not? They go, well, COVID. And I go, you're not even living in the house. Why would that matter to you? You don't need to come near the house. You don't need to come near me. You don't need to come near any buyers. You can show up at closing and sign the documents from your car with everybody masked up and, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. I said, don't worry. We're going to take it from A to Z and you're not going to have to do anything. Never met with them except at closing. And, but they were, oh, what do I want to say? They were a product of this kind of thing. They were the people that I was calling and saying, hey, I'm kind of concerned. You guys are elderly. Are you safe? Do you need any groceries? Whatever. Do you have any concerns? That's where that comes in. COVID was crap. The whole time was crappy, wherever you guys were at in your lives. But what it did was it gave us a reason to call people that wasn't like, sell with me, buy with me, it was a chance to say, I'm thinking about you. I know things are kind of crazy right now. I just want you to know. Guys, that goes a long way. And we don't do that. People don't do that anymore. People don't send handwritten note cards. I may read it and throw it in the trash, but it does something. It does something to your heart, does something to your brain. It's a big deal. So that's a good time to do this. What happens around the holidays? Is that a good time to call people? Do you have to ask for business? I mean, do you want to mention real estate? Yes, but do you have to hound them about selling their house? No. Hey, I know it's Thanksgiving. I just want to tell you, I'm so thankful for you. We've done, I've gotten to know you. They haven't even bought or sold. I'm just thankful that I got to know you this year. And I look forward to helping you whenever you have real estate needs. By the way, then you can bring up something. This is what we see happening in the market. They're going to ask you questions. If you call people, they're going to say, so what is going on in the real estate market? And you are so you're going to be able to tell them. Or you're going to be able to say, I don't know. I know I'm the expert, but honestly, the world's so weird right now. I'm not really sure, but I can tell you that I'm staying in touch with all the people that I need to and studying the market right now. And so I can interpret it the best I can for you. But yes, it's weird. That's my scientific terminology to use for the market. So phone calls don't have to be buy, sell. They can be care. They can be a birthday. They could be, hey, I noticed that, this was a big one. Client started out as a teacher at one of my kids' schools in Nixa, and they called for me to sell their house. And then one day on Facebook, I see that it's been 5 years since her mother passed away. I told Krista, because I leveraged, I said, hey, send her flowers and just a note saying, I'm thinking about you today. I know this is a rough day for you. Can you imagine what that did to her? I got a text, which is funny, because to me, I was like, that's kind of, you pick up the phone and call and say thank you, but that's the world we live in. I call my kids and they text me back and say, what do you want? I'm like, I wanted to talk to my child, just how are you doing, you know, but still, that made such an impression on her and it touched her, and I don't care if she, you know, whatever, but it touched her that I was noticing, so. That ties in with social media. There's reasons you can call people. I saw you had a baby. Don't want to bother you, but I'm going to leave a gift on your front porch if that's okay with you. And then drop off a box of diapers. It doesn't have to be anything big. You know, if you can't afford that stuff now, put a card in the mail. Everybody can afford a few cents for a card. So, emails, 12 touches, easy peasy. But do people open your emails? Most of the time, no. I have some people, they comment about, they tell me there's a typo in the email. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. At least I know they read it. It's okay. But who are they thinking of when they think of real estate? Okay, if they don't read it, that's okay. Did they see my name come across their email titles? Okay, they know I'm thinking of them and all that. And we get emails saying, oh, I loved your content, or congratulations, or, you know, it looks like you guys are doing really great. I'm super happy for you. That kind of thing. Market reports, Paulina, I taught you guys, like, what was it, that your last class? She's really good at the market reports. A lot of agents are doing that. They're saying, hey, this is what's going on in the market. That positions her as an expert. Video, we have a lender that sends a video every, I think it's once a month. I don't know. I don't always even listen to him, but I see his mugshot on my text. I like it. It comes to my phone. I don't look at emails very much because Krista does that for me. So if you want to reach me, the best way to do it is this right here. So he sends a video out saying, hey, this is what's going on in the market. And if you've got a lead, can you do that? You send them, hey, by the way, I met you in the store. I'm going to send you while you're standing there, I'm going to send you a video. If you'll give me your phone number, I want to send you a video because it's got some really great information about it. She'll be more prone to give you the phone number to do that. So be thinking about that. Direct mail. So I'll tell you how my team does it. We do a pie event, which is this down here, an annual event. By the way, I found that idea at Mega Camper Family Reunion. I was standing in line, buying an agent coffee behind me. We struck up a conversation. So tell me something that you do in your business that might grow mine. And she goes, oh, we do this event every year. I thought she was nuts. She goes, so what we do is we order a bunch of pies at Thanksgiving. We have them in our office and we just tell everybody, come pick up a pie on us. I'm like, you don't deliver them? Like, that's weird. And she goes, no, you can't deliver 100 pies, 200 pies, whatever. I'm like, that'll never work. But I came back and I thought, well, we'll try it. Guess what? 10 years now, we've been doing this pie event at Thanksgiving. Now everybody does it, and that's cool because it works. I had a client whose house we have listed. We're helping them buy a house right now. They came to our pie event, picked up their pie, made sure they brought their baby because they wanted me to see their baby, which is cool. And they said to me, as we put our arms around each other and took a picture with the pie, they said, this is our favorite Thanksgiving tradition. I think that's not a connection. Other people drive up and be like, hi. I'm like, here you go. Happy Thanksgiving. We love you too. It touches some people and other people are like, they go, I know I didn't come get a pie. I don't even like pumpkin pie, but thank you so much for the invite. It doesn't really matter. They're hearing from us and we're getting that engagement. Let's go back to this. So we do the pie event in November. And then in December, we do Christmas cards. We send out a lot. I taught my 9-year-old the word plethora. We send a plethora of Christmas cards out. Do I hand sign every one of them? I would love to do that. That's not always possible. There are certain ones. And again, you have to categorize your leads on who gets the handwritten note, who you want to say, hey, I know you've had a really rough year this year because their parent passed away or something happened. But I just wanted to tell you I'm thinking about you, and that will go a long way. But sending a card, don't deliberate like I do over which card looks better and all that stuff. I get so hung up in that stuff. And it's like, nobody cares. They just want to see a card from you. Doesn't matter. Then, right after that, we follow up with a magnet. And I wish I had brought one down to show you guys. But it's a calendar magnet. Used to put our picture on it, got to the point where when you have team members come and go, you're like, oh, well, they were left in February. So now they're on my picture on somebody's refrigerator. 700 refrigerators all over Springfield, and they're not on the team anymore. So we went with the graphic because, again, I want people to see Red Door. I don't want people to think, oh, it's got to be all about Susan, because it's not. This business can't be about yourself. So we do that. So those are typically, people say, the slower months. So they're hearing from us in November, they're hearing from us in December, they're hearing us from in January. In November, what happens is when they get their pie thing, a lot of times they come and go, hey, and I'm watching, I know they have a 3-bedroom house that's 1,100 square feet, and they now have 3 children. And their next comment is to me, what would they say? Yeah. It happens every year at the pie event. Hey, by the way, we're going to be calling you this spring. Chris is sitting there going, who was that? Okay. And she's writing in a note. And then when I get back to the office the day after our pie event, she's like, okay, you got some people you need to be following up with because they said they're interested in selling. So all that, do you see how that it all is intermingled? I don't see how you can talk about one thing of this without talking about the other. But those things happen and solidify. Do you think it's cool when I walk into a listing and I see the magnet on the refrigerator? You think it's funny when I see somebody else's? Oh, funny story. Meet my husband. He stalked me on Facebook. Long story. We found each other, both a lot of crap and heartache and stuff. And so we find each other. First time I go to his house, he's got another realtor's magnet on it, and it's a woman. You think that didn't get it taken down pretty quickly in our relationship. So anyway, and then when she called me one day when I listed the house, she's like, oh my gosh, I saw that you guys are married now. And she had helped them sell and buy a house and all that stuff before, but just funny. So, I mean, I've walked in and seen 3 or 4 magnets on somebody's refrigerator. As long as mine's there, it's all good. But those magnets are really cool. I got a call, I send one to the lender. So don't dismiss your vendors as leads and contacts, because do they know anybody that needs to buy or sell? So you want to make sure you include them. Get a text from the same lender every single year. He goes, Susan, I always appreciate getting your calendar. I use it every single day. And that means a lot to me because I hold him in high regard in the industry. And so it's cool. It's a touch. So those are the things we do in the slower months, and they happen to be bam, bam, bam. I do think about the timing. I don't want the cards to go out the week of Christmas and the magnets go out the day after Christmas. I want the cards to go out earlier in December and the magnets to go out the first of the year and all that. What would be another benefit to sending all of those mailers out? Do they all go out to the people and none of them come back? Or do some of them get returned?
You figure out somebody moved. That address is outdated and I need to contact them. And
Exactly. Why did they move? And then Chris is doing her whole stalking thing, like what happened, where'd they go? Did you guys see the news story? Nixa teacher? Yeah, they were our clients. Yeah. Teacher was involved with the student, one of those scenarios.
Oh.
And so they had reached out recently in the last year or so about selling a house and tried to follow up with them. They never would respond. And then we found out that they bought and sold with somebody else. So the text conversation with my team last night was kind of funny. My daughter bust in the room. My son's best friends there, she was working HR. Again, we're talking small community. Everybody knew some angle of the story, but you don't win them all, but some addresses are going to come back. It's a really good way to keep your command database cleaned up, because if you wait 5 years to mail something out, or you just do it once a year, you're going to get, and we get stuff back. You guys, I'm sure, do on your team. It just happens. You don't win them all. Do I get discouraged by that? Yeah, to be honest with you, I do sometimes. Do you guys need to take a break for any reason? You want to keep going? Break? Okay, all right, let's take a quick 5-minute break, 10-minute break, whatever.
Good stuff. Did you have a card? Did you have a card?
Still work.
Yeah.
How long did you live in Colombia for?
I was about 18 months when we moved there, and I was 17 when I graduated
No,
from high
look at
school.
you.
Came back to the States, every few, like 3 or 4 years.
So you know.
Probably because they don't have very good service.
Oscar.
Whenever you
I
pronounce
don't
the
get-
food, I'm like.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows another
On
language.
your
I do,
settings.
but I don't speak it fluently enough to, I feel very.
Thanks. Okay, I need to do that.
It's dot is what it's called.
And around here, there's not
Yes,
really a
so
whole lot of
it's
opportunities to.
Dot
speak
share.
Yeah.
And all that.
And so what
Anyway,
happens
yeah,
if you
I
have your
did at
NFC
one
on,
point.
I just take
In
that.
high school, I
yeah,
actually
tap
dreamt
it
in
to the back of
Spanish.
somebody's phone.
And
And it
that
does
was
that, or
like-
if
that's
a lot
the
of people don't
thing
have the NFC
that we
on,
really-
pull up that code, boom.
Yeah.
Can you just be
Yeah,
walking
I
down the
learned
store?
English.
Be in the airplane, turn on share and
I was
pop up
learning
over everybody's
Spanish at the
screen.
same time, So.
That's the
I
way to
did
do
not
that.
get to
Yeah. What are you doing, man? Oh, don't worry, you'll.
States the first time. I was pointing to things at my grandparents' house and saying them in Spanish, and they didn't know what I was talking about, so. And at the time, we could only get black and white TV,
Yeah.
and I asked my grandpa if we could take his TV that was colored down there so that we could get cartoons and stuff in color, and it would be in English, because I grew up watching Sesame Street in Spanish, so.
Do you ever speak?
Plaza Sésamo.
Watching
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
Yeah, that dates me too.
I like the black and white TV with the rabbit ears.
Yeah.
And tinfoil.
English?
No, if I'm gonna speak Spanish, I try to speak Spanish. I do get a chuckle out of my mom. My mom never really got the accent down. And when she speaks English, when she would, amongst my high school friends, when she would come in the room and say something, she would leave the room and I'd go, do you guys even know what she just said? How in the world can you understand? Because her accent was terrible, everything was not good. And they were like, we just love her so much. We understand exactly what she says. I'm like, okay, I'm glad y'all can. So, but
So your mom's like.
You don't actually.
no, my parents are both from here. I was born in
Yes.
Columbia, Missouri, and grew
Get
up in
that, you can
Columbia,
just go to the
Columbia, South
website.
Carolina.
Oh my God. Okay.
Where did it go from here though?
Well, and
Do
you
you ever
know,
go and
honestly,
visit?
I haven't been
That's
back
hard.
since.
so you opened up the website,
It's been
so
30
go
years.
to
Is that
like,
only
your-
like
is that
Latin?
iPhone, I assume?
Huh?
Sure you've been
Go,
to.
go
I
to
went
your
to boarding
Chrome.
school in Venezuela and Ecuador.
What is your,
Just my
And
Google.
we lived
browser,
in
yeah.
Costa Rica before I was old enough to remember.
Yeah.
We lived there for about 6 months.
Okay, I wonder which one of those.
Very nice.
So where are you from?
See, and this is something. I'm
Okay.
Well, like my parents are Mexican.
Okay.
I grew up in Verona, Missouri.
I had a
Okay,
chance to share it.
yeah, that's a stark contrast from.
Yeah, my Google Calendar.
How about contacts? Go to your
We
contacts
had,
Okay.
yeah,
and
it's been an interesting transition for me because I still feel like there's a part of me that's, it's just in my blood
Yeah.
and,
Let's see.
so neat place to grow up. But everybody assumes that every
Interesting,
food south of the border is tacos,
Yeah.
and it's not. So I have to explain to everybody all the time. And this is.
Yeah, I ran into one the other day. I was like, I literally have no idea who that person is.
My problems with my.
German, I don't know German. I can tell you what they were saying in
Businesses?
Spanish.
And I didn't really. have to do that.
Do you understand all the different slang?
Because I find that
people use because, you know.
that is handling your
I have to
marketing
call my dad
now.
every once in a while and say, okay, so-and-so said this, they're from Mexico, what does that mean? And my dad traveled all over Spanish speaking South and Central America, so he,
Give it to somebody, but then. it can't.
certain countries, you can't say certain
Oh,
words.
I bet
And
that's what it is.
how
Okay.
to identify.
Good idea.
So when I lived in Venezuela,
Email?
So go back
Venezuelans
to the
didn't like
camera.
Colombians at all, and they treated me like I was Colombian
Just
because I
let it
used all
scan
the
and it should
foreign
bring up the link. There you go at the top.
So,
Okay. Oh, Safari, I bet it was.
Yeah, click on that. Okay.
Let's just see if I went there.
so
Okay.
And I'll tell
I
you
was
what.
used to his Spanish.
Okay, now save contact.
So when I got here in America,
Now,
Mexico.
is it-
Wait,
I know,
it didn't
yeah.
save all of it. Okay, good.
So now it
There
created
you go.
my contact there in your phone with all of that information.
So go to Safari.
Okay. On
My
iPhone,
husband's
goes to
from
Safari.
Arkansas and I don't.
And then I still need to update like my picture and some stuff, but you can literally put
But it's
whatever you
like
want.
two
So here's
different-
how easy it is.
I can't understand some people,
You know,
you know, in different parts of the country, and it's the same thing in
Looks like you
Spanish.
put a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff on here. Is there
Spain, Spanish is so different.
Yeah, that's,
And the 883-4900?
yeah, that's just the color line.
Okay.
And then,
Can't use another, it's to offend
Email,
somebody.
your color email right there, probably.
you know, there's the email, there's, so like, sorry,
So it puts your whole, oh, yeah.
that brings up the app. Yeah,
So it puts all your,
yeah.
you know, isn't it? Quiet. Okay, so yeah, very cool. Yeah, that's
Kind of a
it has
one-stop
everything in
shop.
there, Yeah.
And I can customize all of that stuff. And I can set it in whatever order I want, so. Are you wanting to start? Shut up.
Come on, Stefan.
So let's.
We're not.
I said, no, you can change it. You can also, test the link, everything.
You're good. So, I did find that stat. They collected research that shows that when selecting an agent to use, 73% of buyers only talk to one agent. Think about that. And 82% of sellers only contacted one agent. So, yeah. So if I go to a listing appointment and I don't get the listing, they list with somebody else, the first thing I want to do is find out what I did wrong. Typically, I already know after I leave that listing appointment. I can tell when I've lost somebody. After doing it for a while, you're like, I didn't know something that they needed to know, or they wanted me to do something that wasn't ethical, or they wanted me to forfeit part of my commission or something. So sometimes it's like, I'm okay walking away from that, because if you walk into that going into it, by the time you get to a closing, it's not fun. So sometimes it's okay to walk away from business. But I've had people that I thought would never call me again, and they call me 2 years later. I'm like, you had a loaded shotgun at your front door when I came to get my sign and lockbox. Like, you didn't like me. And now you're calling me to help you find your next house. What were you, smoking at the time or smoking now? I don't know. Either way. So I forget this is being recorded. Okay. So I like this, the one to cement, the phone calls, the flowers, the handwritten notes, the things that are really personal. Those are the things. Can you do that with 2,000 people in your database? Yeah. So you gotta, I tend to be caught up more in that stuff. And Chris has to go, yeah, you've got all these other people over here that want to do business with you too. You've got to go make sure you stay in touch with them. So keep that in mind. Okay. So once somebody becomes so a lead is a person that you've gotten some kind of information, okay? Then they become and then they become a contact. When you've got this two-way, you've got this relationship, they're reaching out, they want your help, they have a question, what plumber should I call? What should I do to get my house ready? Do you know a painter, Susan? Oh, I don't have a dentist, I moved to town. Guys, let people know you're here for everything. I don't care if you need a dog groomer. I don't care if you need somebody to clean up poop in your yard. I want to be the person that they think of. And if you don't tell them that they can do that, they won't do that. I see people, we have clients on Facebook, they're like, hey, everybody, I'm looking for a plumber. I'm going, excuse me, why are you even asking people on Facebook? You could text me and I can have you the most trusted people that I know, the people that I would give their numbers to my family and my friends. So be that person and solidify that. And I kind of beat myself up when I see that. I'm like, gosh, what did I miss? That they feel like they have to go on Facebook and ask where they should get, an electrician to do some work. What's a clue if they're doing that stuff?
Bring value.
Huh?
You offering value?
Yeah, I offer value, but if they're doing that stuff on
Getting ready to
Facebook,
get their house.
bingo, they might be getting ready. Hey, do you know a landscaper? Do you know how to paint? Really? You need to know a painter? Is there, you know, there's a reason. And I don't walk around lurking going, oh my gosh, are they, you know, but just listen. Those questions that you ask people are gonna give you the clues. And I think I have a tendency to stop asking questions before we get to the junk. Okay. Again, this is a story, but I have been in situations where I did not know that people were in bad financial situations. Example, the first house I sold, I didn't know until 3 days before closing that they had 3 mortgages on their house. And that's when you could do that kind of stuff. Back in 2005, you could get mortgages after mortgages. They had 3 mortgages on their house. I did not educate them about what to do when their house went under contract. I did not tell them to keep paying all their bills on time. I did not tell them to keep making their mortgage payments. I assumed that as a grown-up, because I knew I should do that they knew that. They did not know that. The wife stopped making the mortgage payment. We didn't close for 60 days, so there was 2 payments that didn't get made. She ran out and they were buying a big house out of state. She ran out and ran up a bunch of credit cards and furniture, buying new furniture for a new house. And the title company calls me 3 days before closing and says, hey, you need to call your sellers and tell them they need to bring $5,000 to closing to sell their house. At the time, short sale wasn't really that wasn't a thing that we were talking about. I've got to call this guy and say, who I had already convinced to sell his house for the price. I had to put it in writing and all that stuff. So he could see the numbers made sense and everything. I had to call him and said, Mark, you're short $5,000 to close on your house. And they already had a house down there. They had movers. I mean, it was all in full swing. He had to call a family member and borrow the money to bring to closing to sell the house. And when they left town, they weren't sure they would be able to qualify. So was it my fault that they did all that stuff? No. Is it our job to educate people? It is. So tell people, I don't want you to finance a toothpick until this house closes. If you look at something you need to put on a charge card, you call me, you call your lender before you do it. I'll talk you out of it. They will too. So it's really our job to kind of look out for them. And that's where I didn't know. I assumed that they were doing fine, but I didn't know. So, and she was a friend. So we weren't friends for a little while after that because they were embarrassed, really more. And I was embarrassed that I didn't know. Anyway, that's again, one of those life lessons that is later on in the course, but I have to share some of my life experience. So when somebody becomes a contact is somebody that you're like, okay, we're talking now. They really want to engage with me. There's some kind of communication going on. This is when you go to this. Command is beautiful to set this stuff up. And I'll brag on Krista. I'm really blessed to have her because she sets all this stuff up for me. So if you want to know how to set it up, don't ask me, ask Krista. These emails, the events, we've done more than one event before. We quit doing the blood drive we've sponsored during COVID because nobody would come. What are some ideas? Have you guys thought of anything that you want to do when you can afford it, when you start making money? What are some ideas that you have?
I would like to go to my high school and do a presentation for the seniors on the home buying process and what to expect and how to start preparing now.
I feel like that's great because I feel like I never learned anything like that in high school. And now like starting in this business, I feel so uneducated on even how to help other people because I'm still really young and never went through that process, but they don't teach you any of that stuff in school.
No.
I saw a meme the other day. It was, I'm so glad I learned about parallelograms instead of taxes in high school because I will be prepared when it's parallelogram season. It's just like, what are they thinking? So that's a great idea. Do you have a teacher, a personal finance teacher, anybody that you can connect with now?
None that I've met in person, but I would like to contact them soon to try and set something up.
Yeah, and I think you come from a place, that comes from a place of value. We all find our value proposition. You guys have talked about that, right? Like, okay, what do I offer? We bring a relational type thing. We also have leverage, so you're gonna deal with, you know, a lot of expertise on our team and stuff. But that's something that you can add. Hey, I've realized now that I've gotten my real estate license, this is a gap that wasn't filled for me. And I have a daughter who came to me the other day. She's getting married in November. Pray for me. I've been through this a few times, but it's never easy. And she says, I'm going to the bank to apply for a credit card. So, you know, we tell our kids, don't ever do. And then you realize, hey, you have to have credit of some sort. And if you have no credit, that's almost worse than having, if you have no credit, that's almost as bad as having bad credit. It just really is not good. But because she knows to pay it, you know, she knows how to do it. I know she's not going shopping and Amazon's not going to be her best friend for the next 6 months while she runs the cart up. I'm cool with her doing that. But those are things that you can explain to people before, because you will blink your eyes and that group will be buying houses. It's really weird now. My kids' friends are calling me to help them buy houses. I'm like, y'all should still be playing in my backyard, you know, on the trampoline and eating pancakes at my table for breakfast after sleepovers. Now you're buying houses. And some of them are becoming realtors, which is really cool too. It's kind of like, So, but that's awesome. Any other ideas for events that you guys want to do?
I am doing one next month for the circus.
Okay.
So I was a circus performer before I got into real estate, so I'm using the circus to help me with clients, meeting new people and everything.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. What are some other ideas? Anything you guys have heard of that you want to do, but you're like, I don't have the money for it yet? Okay, let me give you some ideas. Renting out the movie theater, inviting all your clients to come to a free movie. Blood drive is a good one. Obviously, you can't have 20 of those going on at the office, you know, so you've got to be careful. The pie event is a big deal. We've got an agent here that does like a hayride bonfire type family event. Bring your kids. You could do a picnic. You could give out, buy a truckload of watermelons in the summertime and just say, come pick up a free watermelon. We'd love to see you. Have face painting for the kids. I know that at the time when you start out, you're like, I'll never have money for that stuff. But you will if you keep doing the things that you do. In the meantime, be writing the handwritten notes, be stopping by. Can I stop by and see you? I know you closed on your house a month ago. I just wanted to come see if you set up on your house. You know, do you have any questions? Are you needing anything done? Is there anything I could have done better during the transaction? Any of those things are going to help solidify that relationship. But those events, even if people don't come, because I have people that go, seriously, you don't have a con pie? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. We have to I have to rein people in. I have people that go, I'll take pecan. I'm like, sorry, fresh out of pecan pies. I did buy an apple pie for a client this year. And I specifically went to the store and I bought one for them. I didn't bake it myself. She just loves apple pie. And so I'm like, hey, when you get here, and I told my team, when she gets here, let me know. I've got this apple pie for her. And it made her feel all special and wonderful. And it's awesome. So those events are a big deal. So be thinking about these things. This can be a picnic at the park. You are in a pavilion. You tell everybody to bring their own chairs. You'll provide the meat. They can bring the sides. You don't have to do all of it. Another big thing about these events, we get people to help us sponsor these. If you build good enough relationships with vendors, and it's a reciprocal, not just, hey, help me, but you send them business and all that, they are going to help you promote these. They're going to help pay for them. So I have two companies that sponsor me with my pie event every year, and they get recognition and they get, you know, mentioned and all of that. And so don't think that you have to pay for all this stuff yourself. There are people out there that will help you. The direct mail magnet calendar. So really, you're just taking this and you're kind of blowing it up a little bit more. You're doing a little bit more of the touches. See, it's only 4 phone calls. 4 here. It's not that much more. But if you set this up right, then you've got something going on there. Okay. All right. Did we kind of cover this already? I think I did. I took that graphic and went all through everything. Any questions about this? Any questions about how to do it? What to do? What's important about it? Anything? Any ahas? Anything? Okay. I'm gonna ask these questions and ask you guys to go ahead and kind of volunteer and talk about things. What are my strengths when working with people? How can I adapt with the touches of the 19 Connect, or to Connect to represent me? So you talked about doing something that's just you. What are some other things? You're doing something that's just you. Oscar,
Yes.
what's just you? What's something that you can do that's a lead follow-up process?
You mean like call them or?
What's something that's unique to you? I can call somebody, you can call somebody, but what's something that you can do that maybe I wouldn't think to do?
I like doing what you like doing, handwritten
Okay.
notes.
There's a lot of power in that. Tell me your name.
Dustin,
Dustin. Anything that's unique to you?
I actually thought about a car show, maybe like hosting an event like that.
Very cool.
I haven't seen anybody do that yet or anything for like as an agent or anything.
And you can tie something like that in with a charity and say all the proceeds are gonna go to whatever.
Okay.
Make it, have your clients say, ask them, what's a charity that's important to you? And kind of get some ideas from them. Call your core people and say, I'm thinking about doing this. What would be a great charity? Do you have any ideas? And then say, I'll consider your idea. You're going to get 10 different ideas. You're gonna have to choose one of them and make the other ones think that, but that's awesome. So you take that's you. What's the connection with cars?
I feel like if you get a connection with a bunch of car people, it's my kind of people and kind of get to work with the people that you're good with, I think, and in a way. connect with.
That's awesome. I did a lot of home staging, which we're probably coming back into the market where we'll have to stage houses because they're not going to sell in the first 24 hours they're on the market. So that was something that I added a value, but that wasn't an event. So that's a great idea. That's really a great idea. Tell me your name.
Me?
Yeah.
Andrea.
Andrea.
Yes.
Anything that's you, totally you.
As far as events or follow-up?
Events, or it can be
Events.
follow-up.
Well, there's a lot of like 5Ks and stuff around, so I was trying to find a different spin on something like that. Maybe one of those ones with like obstacles or something unique like that. To do, since that's something that I like to do anyway.
I'm gonna call you Mr. Yellowstone now. It's a done thing. Your t-shirt.
I'm still hurting after that blood drive we had in Battlefield when you had the blood drive, remember?
I didn't have a blood drive in Battlefield.
Over the old office, you didn't have a blood drive?
Oh, yeah, that was a long time
I
ago.
know, but I'm still hurting after
You're
that.
still hurting from it? Beautiful.
Sure wasn't.
You don't remember that, do you?
No, I
Well,
don't.
I do,
I'm glad you do.
but it was
So
a great
here's how-
experience. It was a great experience, I'm just saying.
It was really neat because people came out to do something good for other people. And the funny thing about that was I'm very competitive. Ask my husband, he's like, why? Yeah, I'm like, oh, really? Let's do it. So it became a thing. I got Rhett Smiley. I'm like, you need to come donate blood. So then it became a thing to see who could donate their blood the fastest. So whoever donated blood, you chug a ton of water and you eat really well that day. And then while they're doing it, you're just doing this the whole time and the blood just goes crazy. And I'm like, what was my time last year? It's probably in all of us more, or we wouldn't be in real estate because it is a competitive industry. But anyway, I'm sorry you're still hurting. Is there
Yeah, I'll
anything I
get
can
over it.
do to make your life any
No.
easier?
It's a slow process, but I'm getting over it.
Okay. Any other ideas for events? Do you have any suggestions? Anything you've what's a pipe dream? Like if I could just do this.
I have a couple of Rottweilers that I'm getting ready to breed next year when they get old enough. And I was thinking about maybe if there was a way to set up when I have new puppies that someone could come and see the puppies and.
And Rottweilers are kind of one of those Like, yeah, so you might could endear people to say, hey, come see that they're not the breed that everybody talks about. So that could be really neat. That's awesome. Okay. Any other ideas?
Photo gallery. I do a lot of nature photography. So having like a get together with the gallery display, maybe like just some snacks and that type of thing and meet and greet.
And you could tie that in with the charity too, you know, something, have them vote on their favorite piece or something by, we do the chili cook-off here sometimes. Everybody votes for the best chili and then it goes to KW Cares or Springfield Cares or something. Take that and think of how you can do what you're passionate about, cars, whatever, and then take it and benefit somebody else. It's crazy how people want to help other people. Food drives. I will caution you though, don't be discouraged if you don't have a huge turnout. It took us a while to get people to understand, really, we are going to give you a free pie. There's no strings attached. We weren't going out and soliciting people that we were already in relationship with these people. So we're talking about keeping the lead, right? So we're keeping those people. We're saying, no, really, it's a free pie. And everybody's like, well, what's the catch? I'm like, there is no catch. You just come get a free pie. We want to see you. And we get to see people's kids grow up every year. I think that's awesome. You're taking something that's you and doing it. Okay. I love that. Okay. What are some reasons I might have for contacting the lead? What are some touches to do before and after a phone call? So, when you're calling somebody, just call and go, hey, hey. I had a really awkward phone call with a client, a friend, then client a few months ago. And I just called her to say, hey, I just want to let you know, I was thinking about you. How are things going? How are the boys on? And it was the most awkward phone conversation. Guess who called me about 2 weeks after that? Mom and dad, the parents called. Hey, we're thinking about buying a house in our neighborhood. Will you come show it to us? It was awkward, but what would be some reasons why you guys would call? I've already gave you some hints earlier today. So what are some ideas? Why would you call somebody besides buying and selling a house?
My favorite is the winter weather, home keeping, turn your water on. I've dealt with a bursted pipe and if I would have had somebody to remind me to turn that water on.
Right before that big cold weather, and we had a house that we knew was vacant. And I called the sellers. I felt kind of dumb calling them. I'm like, you guys are living with your parents right now. You know, they know. Guess who did not think about that? And they had just had their flooring replaced because of a pipe that had leaked. So, yeah.
Worst, it's a whole.
So that is a great reason to call somebody. Do you have to wait? You have to wait for some kind of weather. Hey, it's getting really, really hot. I know you've got pets. I just want to call and say, do you have everything set up for your dogs that are outside? Or, just think of any reason. Hey, I love seeing your kids growing up on Facebook. I just want to call and tell you, I'm here for you if you ever have any real estate needs, but I just love the way you guys parent together, or I love the way you take care of your husband or your wife or your parents or whatever. Have a reason when you call them, always mention real estate. But I can tell you, I told you earlier, sometimes it used to be call, ask for business, ask for leads. And now it's like, wait, stop and slow down, love people. The money's going to be there if you do it. Okay. Good job. How am I using conversations to let people know I'm in real estate? How to contact me and how to refer business to me? Any thoughts? You and I are both doing it. What is it? What are we both doing right now? You and I.
Wearing the shirt.
Well,
How many people say, what's Red Door? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. And so it gives a format. So there's a way. So how else would you let people know that you're in business? What's the most obvious one?
Social media is what I use a
Social
lot.
media. Yeah. Just tell them, hey, oh gosh, don't tell them you're in realty for heaven's sakes. I'm in realty, or I'm a realtor or anyway, we have jokes about them. But anyway, make sure that people know that you're in business. I went through a spell where I was too embarrassed to ask people for business. I was too embarrassed to tell them that I was a real estate agent because I honestly, I assumed everybody knew. But if you're not constantly telling them, especially as the market goes on us and weird, they're going to assume that you're not going to make it in real estate. You have to be the one to tell them. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that's that point you made that, you know, that how what the market's like right now. So I just call them up and say, hey, I did something really crazy. And then I kind of lead into that with the real estate
Yeah, absolutely. And
at my age.
yeah, yeah. And you're gonna have people that are gonna say you're nuts and all that. I had a broker from another company tell me that I had the least likely personality to succeed in real estate. Let me tell you guys, it pissed me off so much. When I walked out of that building, I was offended and then I went, what freaking gives you the right to, I didn't say this to him, but I got the last laugh because years later, I noticed it was his birthday on Facebook. I love social media. And I said, I won't mention his name. I said, hey, blank, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday and let you know you so inspired me in my real estate career. And do you know, he messages back, he's like, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'm super glad that I did. And I'm like, and I honestly, I could say in all honesty, was I happy he said that to me? Yeah. Did he light a fire? Were there days I wanted to quit and said, this isn't for me, this is harder than I thought? Is real estate harder than y'all thought it would be?
Yeah.
Everybody says that. And there's days you're like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And yet those are the voices in my head that are going, really? Yeah. The agent that inspired me to get my real estate license, I was celebrating a very successful year with my team at a very nice restaurant on me. I'm sitting there celebrating my team. I look at the table next to me and there is a realtor and her family sitting at the table next to me. I looked to my daughter who was on my team at the time and I said, wow, I bet she has no idea that I even entered into the real estate field because she did such a poor job selling my house and was so dishonest that she inspired me to get into the business. Was I grateful for that? Absolutely. She has no idea. No idea. And I sat there and just smiled and thought, thank you for being a terrible agent. Thank you for not looking out for my family. Because now, what have I shared with you guys that's really important to me in my business? What's my value proposition?
Follow up.
Honesty, integrity,
Caring,
doing a great
yes,
job.
relationships, all that stuff is really a big deal. Okay. So you're calling people and telling them you're in real estate, right? Correct? Everybody's done that. Everybody's sent out handwritten note cards. Here's my business card. Hey, here's 3 business cards. Here's one for you and one for a neighbor and one for somebody at work. Would you mind sharing these with people? Be bold, guys. I was not bold. I was so scared when I got into this business. I didn't think I belonged anywhere but in a moldy office somewhere in Nixa at this real estate office that did nothing for me to get me started. So if I can do that, you guys can do this at Keller Williams, okay? Am I using conversations to let people know I'm in real estate? How do I, did we do that one already? Yes. Oh, asking people to refer business to you. People don't know that if you don't ask them to. I know you're not ready to buy or sell right now, but would you mind keeping me in mind and let me know? If you hear of anybody, will you reach out and let me know so I can show them what a great job I'll do for them? I promise I will make you look good. Big conversation. Right? Okay. When is it best for me and my business to time block for lead follow-up? Oh, lead gen. When does that happen? When's the best time to happen?
8 to 10 is what they say.
Okay, in the morning, right? I use the saying with my 9-year-old because she was introduced to me through marriage a couple of years ago. So I'm raising a child that I did not raise from birth to 7, okay? She does not like to do hard things. The phrase we use around our house always is eat the frog. Make your bed, eat the frog. You know what that means? There's a book called Eat the Frog. Did you know that? doing the hard things first thing in the day, getting it out of the way, whatever that is. For her, it's making her bed, brushing her teeth. Do you think when she becomes a teenager, an adult, she's gonna go, feels good to make my bed. I already feel accomplished before I even get out of my bed, because she's on the top bunk, so she's got to make it like up there. She gets out of bed, she's already done one thing on her checklist before school. Okay, so get the lead gen out of the way. Lead follow-up should come after that. Okay, but if you time block, and I get it, guys, we're not all really disciplined about it. This team meeting happens on Tuesday mornings, right? It's like, oh, great, that's my lead gen time. What do I do? If you're behind on your lead gen, we always want everybody at the team meeting, but that's also 9 o'clock when I meet with my team. So I have to make that choice, but priority is growing your business and all that. So, okay. If you don't put it on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Have you guys heard that saying before? Okay. If you take bold, that will be ingrained in your brain forever, forever. How much time should I take to reach out to a lead? What will I do to hold myself accountable? What do I need to do to make sure this happens? I have a Krista who sits there and goes, have you followed up with so-and-so? Oh my gosh, no, I'll do it right now, or I'll do it right now, or whatever. What are some things that you guys can do to make yourselves do this stuff?
Time block for sure.
Time block. Give yourself a reward. If I lead gen all week, I'm gonna go get my nails done, or I'm gonna go to a car show this weekend, or I'm gonna go, whatever. Find something to say, okay, if I eat the frog, I hope you guys will remember that. That's really been, it's funny, because now my mother-in-law and my husband's they're using it with Amelia. And she's like, oh my gosh, y'all don't shut up about eat the frog, but she's getting it now. I'm like, let's eat the frog. Let's read right now so that we get out of the way this, we don't have to do it later in the evening. So time, gosh, do it until you finish your contacts. That's kind of a big deal. So, okay. Has anybody done this at a really high level yet? Anybody? It's hard. It's really hard. Has anybody heard about Bold?
I've been in bold
Is
twice.
it? Okay, all right. And you say, I'm bold 5 times or whatever. I'm bold 5 times. It does. There's things that I learned in my first Bold class that are still playing in my head now. Dan Holt, you guys know who he is, right? He was talking last week at the sales meeting. I was in the Bold class the first time it came to Springfield when Pat Mancuso looked at him and literally, I used the word hoodwinked him into signing up for MAPS coaching because it was so funny to watch happen. Dan couldn't say no. He signed up for a MAP coach that day. What's happened to his business? And where is he at in all aspects of his life and business? He's like regional operating manager, he's Dan Holt, he's done, but he did those things at a really high level. He had a coach that made him do it. So we all have that potential, guys. We really do. Every one of us. Okay, so here's some other ideas, and this breaks down to cost. Mailers, like sending out farming a neighborhood. If you guys use that term farming a neighborhood, you know what that means, right? So you start sending out mailers, the return on that is a long time. It takes a long time. Is mailing out a massive amount of things on a regular basis expensive? Very, okay. So you have to look at what you can do and where you can do it. Ooh, I like this event, organized neighborhood park cleanup. I had a client that did a river cleanup one time, and she had all kinds of people show up to help, and they collected how many bags of trash and they made a big deal out of it. It was pretty cool. Videos are going to be way more powerful than emails. People might get mailers and they go, oh, and they toss it in the trash, but have they thought of you? You have to be 1 or 2 in their mind in real estate for them to remember you when it's time. So keep that in mind. Okay. Any questions about this? I would say this says it too, end every phone conversation with asking for a referral. I know I called you to see how you're doing, but I know the world's kind of weird right now. And if you know anybody that needs to buy or sell or is in a situation where they really need some expert, because we are the experts, please let me know who they are so I can reach out to them. Sending the referral a thank you note is a really powerful thing. Giving them credit is a really big thing. So do that. I actually did that recently. I said, I just want you to know you've reached out to me over and over and over again. And I'm sending you a lead because you stayed in front of, it was a lender. So you have consistently stayed in front of me and I hope I get to do more business with you. And the next day I was able to call them and say, hey, by the way, we had that conversation yesterday. You stayed in front of me and now I'm sending you a lead. It works both ways, guys. Okay. All right. This is really kind of how it all happens. If you develop your value proposition, if you have the personal communication and all that, you're going to have the stats to back up your business. Okay. Makes sense. Any comments? Is anybody having any trouble with anything that we've talked about so far besides lead generation? Because I know we all have trouble with it. Let's just call it what it is. Any problems with anything that we can talk about right now?
Yes, I actually having a problem. A lead follow-up. So as soon as I talk to a new lead, I follow up right away. And then for the third time, fourth time, they don't respond anymore.
Okay.
So don't know how to follow, just keep trying, or should I just give up or wait longer?
How often are you doing that?
Well, the first few times, every 2 days, every 3 days. If they don't respond after every week, and then if it's a long time, just 2 times, 1 time every 2 months.
Is this a lead, like somebody that said they want to do real estate business with you right now?
Is a lead like it might be thinking about selling in the future.
Okay. So does anybody have any suggestions for? Thoughts?
I think you touched on that earlier, like reach back out. Are you sick? Are you getting my messages or something like that? From what I'm understanding.
And also, when you call them or reach out the next time, have some value to, hey, I noticed, I saw this happening in the market. I wanted to tell you, or the house that you were thinking about selling. I noticed that 3 or 4 houses have been listed and gone under contract, whatever you can do to, instead of just calling and saying, hey, here I am again. When you call somebody with a purpose, like when I called my friend, I thought we were going to have like a girlfriend conversation, like, hey, girlfriend, that kind of thing. I say that sarcastically because that's not how I am, by the way, but I did think we were going to have a little bit more of an exchange and it was really awkward, but he still did it. And so I would encourage you to keep doing it, but make sure that you're calling with something important, or, hey, I put a handwritten note in the mail to you. I just want to make sure you get it, checking on you because I hadn't heard back in a while. So just making sure you're okay. And then they know you care. And what is it, the saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's very cliche, but it's so true. Oh my gosh, it's so true. Yeah, okay. All right. Questions are your best friend. My 9-year-old gets in the car and I start with the questions. Tell me the best part of your day. Tell me the worst part of your day. Tell me what you had for lunch. How did this go? Hey, how's that going with Olivia, your friend that was kind of rude to you yesterday? Did you get that resolved? Did so-and-so let you put the stats up on the board? But guess what? The whole time she's just telling me about her day and I'm getting information about how to be a better mom to her. And so same thing with clients. What are some of the things that you can ask? Why are you thinking about selling? You've run into this person at the store. Why are you wanting to sell? Oh, well, what would be a reason? They might tell me.
Just they're relocating, they had new kids, there's the 5 Ds, the degree, divorce, diamonds, diapers, and I don't remember them all.
That's awesome. Yeah, we don't like divorce, trust me, at all, but we do kind of laugh sometimes because that's usually 3 sales. You know, 1 house to sell and 2 houses to buy. And it's weird. I'm like, they're not going to want to do business with us if the ex is doing, and they do. They do. They trust us. So, but yeah, finding out why, asking why you're selling, what would, okay, this is a different conversation. I'm actually relocating, so I'm moving out of town. So what do you know now? They're not going to be right, okay. Well, we've outgrown our house, so we need to buy a bigger one. So now you know.
Motivating factors.
They're exactly, you know, that they're gonna buy, and you know, they're probably gonna spend more than they did on this house that they bought before that they're selling. So you automatically know, hey, that's awesome. They're gonna buy a bigger house, so we can help them with that. I'm getting old. I can't get up and down the steps. What's the next question that you might ask?
Like after they say they're old.
Yeah, I'm old and so I've got to downsize. So just look at me. I'm old and I don't want to do steps anymore. So what could you say to me?
I don't know. I mean, I know they're looking for a house, like a ranch that's
Okay.
only 1 story.
So you are planning on buying a smaller house, correct? No, actually, I was considering going into retirement community. Then what do you know? They're not gonna be a buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just ask questions. I use the phrase living curiosity. So now you guys are going to get to know Amelia because I have to talk about her. She's the cutest little redhead. And she sits at the counter every evening when I start making dinner and asks me questions. How do you know to make that? Is that a whole chicken? Why do you do that? It's payback for all the, how was your day? What was because you ask a kid, how's their day? What do they go? Ooh. So anyway. Did your fake nails fall off? I noticed that you don't have them on anymore. These are the conversations I'm having. But tell me more. What will that do for you and your family? Okay, we get this house sold. You guys are strapped financially. You need to get out from under the debt. You need to pay off some stuff. What's that going to do for your family? Then you have a conversation like what?
The possibilities of what their life could look like after that.
Yeah, I had a couple that sold, they just sold. They were just up to their eyeballs in debt, sold and got out from under debt. And then the next post I see on Facebook is we are debt free, like we owe nobody anything. Do you think I felt good for them and I was proud that I had helped facilitate that. In the meantime, they had to have a tree cut down in their yard. That was $2,000. It was one of these, massive trees and stuff. But we got through it. So, but asking what it will do for you if you get moved, do you need to sell now or do you need to sell in 3 months? If we wait 3 months, is that better for you? Yes, really, it would take a lot of stress off me. Okay. Then just constantly ask questions and you're going to get answers. Do you mind if I ask why you're selling? And you'll know, if you haven't already learned it, you'll see a husband and wife look at each other kind of awkward, like, oh boy, and then, something's going on. Alan and I went to a listing appointment for a couple that hadn't been in their house for a year. I don't think a year. They just moved here. I helped them relocate. They bought their house sight unseen. That's all nerve wracking. They call me and she goes, hey, we've got to move. We're going to downsize. And I'm thinking something's not. So I go to their house. Look, they go, we don't really even use the basement. We don't need this much house. I'm like, okay. So inside I'm going, well, dang it. I sold them more house than they needed. I wish I hadn't done that, but okay, we'll do with it what we can. Can they get the money out of their house? What's that going to look like? They're looking at little tiny houses and I'm going, something's not adding up. So they got kind of weird on me, distant, and I had to call and say, you said you were interested in selling. I haven't heard back. I hope everything's okay. And then she follows up. She goes, well, he didn't want to say anything. He didn't want me to say anything, but actually we're separating. Now I know. So it was those questions and just the follow-up. Got a little awkward at one point. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I took Alan, my buyer's agent, to the appointment the second time because he was gonna be working with them to buy a house. So I wanted him to meet them. And we walked out and I go, Alan, I've already had the exact same appointment I had with them 2 months ago, and you're gonna think I'm a freak because we just had the same appointment that I told you I already had with them. I had to go through everything all over again. So Alan and I sat there and he goes, it's gotta be financial. I'm like, I don't see how it can be financial. This guy is a physician. I know what he makes. I know the house I sold him because I cared and I wanted to make sure I didn't overextend them. Something's not adding up. And then bingo, finally she felt comfortable telling me we're separating, and 1 sale, 2 buys. Weird. He dealt with Alan, I dealt with her. It worked. That's why having a team sometimes is cool because you can match up personalities. They might not like working with me, and I'm okay with that. It's all good. What are some other questions you can ask when people are wanting to sell besides, why are you selling? That's pretty predictable.
Where would you like to go next?
What's your time frame? All those things.
What are you guys' long-term goals?
One of the things we advise our buyers to do is to think, buy less house now. When you're ready for the next house, convert this house to an investment property. Let somebody else make your mortgage payment on it, go buy another house. Am I losing a sale here? Yeah, kind of. I mean, would I like to sell and buy? Am I helping somebody build their portfolio? Yeah. Do they know that I care then? Hey, if you want to sell it, that's great, but have you considered this? They're like, she's not all about the money. It's crazy. It works.
Get a lot of referrals out of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, invite parents to come to showings. The parents are like, really? You don't care if I come? No, I don't. I want another set of eyes. I care about your kids enough to make sure that you know that we're gonna look out. You may see things I missed. Okay, lead sources. People call you. Best thing, you got a sign in the yard. If you don't have listings, you don't have signs in the yard, nobody can call you. So listings are leverage. Okay. Community events. That's a great way to get word out to people that you're doing something. Make sure that you're following all the guidelines. You cannot entice people with gifts and things like that. That's why we can't post on open houses. Hey, I've got cookies, and you can put a picture of it, I think, on there. Like, hey, I'm ready for an open house. Oh, wait, there happens to be cookies in the background. I think you can get away with that stuff, but be careful about that. Okay. Open houses. I pretty much built my business on open houses. I hired Alan to my team because he is a rock star at open houses. If you want to know how to do an open house effectively, talk to Alan Wright on my team. He knows it. And he does the signage and he sets up the table. I know somebody was giving feedback from that, from Paulina's thing. He sets up the table. We even have a little bit difference in how we would do open houses, but I respect Alan enough to know that what he does works. And I'm okay with him doing it. Certain things I'm like, nope, we're doing it this way. This is how I want it done. This is what I want said, but I do give him leverage to do some of that stuff. Traditional marketing would be mail outs and things like that. Social media is brilliant, guys, at staying in touch with people. You can see when they have babies, you can see when they're not getting along. Seriously, the whole passive aggressive, I can't believe that kind of stuff. They're not getting along. Sometimes people are just going through a rough time in life, and it just means the world to reach out to them. Your agent website, anybody get leads off agent website? Some. I had a guy call me one time, and there were more explicitives in his yelling at me when I answered the phone, and I'm like, why is this guy yelling at me? It was when social media was newer, and I had created a page, but I wasn't watching it, and he sent a message and got my phone number and had sent a message, and I didn't see it. And he called me and he goes, what do you blankety blank think you're doing? Do you want my business or not? And I'm like, whoa, hang on. I'm so sorry, did not see the message. How can I help you? We're coming to town this weekend, and if you're not gonna blankety blank, I'll find somebody else that will. Yes, sir, we will be ready. They trusted me so much. They bought a house. They bought another property with me. They sold that property with me. They moved out of the house because they were moving out of state and left a key under the mat and called and said, come list our house, Susan. We're moving. We had to move pretty quickly for health reasons and stuff. Keys under the mat. Go list the house. Tell us what you need to list it for. We're done. You think that was an awful conversation when he was cussing at me? Do you deserve to be cussed at? No, that should never happen. But social media, and I wasn't watching my page, and you got to do that. So call outs, we talked about that. Has anybody purchased leads? Okay, all right. Past clients, who better than to do business with? Client referral, signed calls, blog or newsletter. Anybody doing a blog? Alrighty. Just ask questions. It's a big deal. All right, any ahas so far? Anything, comments? All right. Post lead follow-up, you get the lead. We've kind of gone through all of this already and talked about staying in touch and all that, so. Has anybody had a garden in here? Okay, all right, gardens, huh? Garden? No, not in here.
Anybody in this room ever had a garden?
I've had clients like you.
Aren't they a riot to deal with?
So if you put seeds in the ground and you don't water it, you don't do anything, what happens? I mean, you might get a straggly one here or there. Guys, it's the concept. If you don't cultivate your leads, if you don't follow up, if you don't show them you care, you add value, you need to let people know, hey, I've got something. I'm not just calling to sell your house, but this is what's going on in the market, or this happened, or whatever. So you've got to cultivate the leads. If you don't, then you don't have and I'm putting my first garden in the spring, so y'all can ask me. What I've been doing is collecting compost stuff, and I get lazy, and so I just throw the seeds and everything in there. So I'm gonna have the craziest garden ever, and I'm not gonna know what's gonna happen until something like something grows on. I'm like,
What is
oh, that's a
that?
cucumber. I remember now, that bad cucumber in my fridge, I threw in the compost. It's gonna be a train wreck, and I'm okay with it, because it'll be fun, and Amelia she'll be out there with me, so. Has anybody set the 19 up? The 19 to connect up?
Not yet. I put my first smart contracts on last night, or smart plans.
In our command, we have tags. You can do this. It's so cool. Pie event, Christmas card, calendar. I don't want everybody to get a pie invite because they may live in Timbuktu now. Do I still want them to get a Christmas card? Yeah, they might be moving back to the area, and I might know that. So Krista goes, who do you want? And so that list changes. Buyers, sellers, potential leads, they're all tagged. And what's cool is you can have 10 tags on somebody. They can be a buyer, they can be a seller, they can be a pie event, they can be a Christmas card, they can be a calendar, they can be whatever I want them to be. You can create all that up. Do it now when you're getting started. Don't wait until you're years down the road and you've got Post-it notes with everybody's addresses on it. Not good. It's really hard to keep up. And you guys know, it'll tell you who you haven't contacted. Like if you'll set a reminder, it'll be like, you need to contact these people. So it's pretty cool. All right. We've talked a lot about this already. Any questions about that? Hopefully I've ingrained in your head how you like solidify. Okay, let's talk about anything that you guys have changed your mindsets on today. Have I swayed you to eat the frog? Has anything resonated with you guys today that you're like, okay, I've got to step it up, or anything?
I think definitely solidified a lot of what they've been talking about and kind of added to that. as far as the value in relationships, just kind of all of it.
Is anybody gonna go out and set up their command to get their people like really set up so that you know who you need to call every day? You can set a reminder and say, I need to follow up with them in 2 weeks. I need to follow up, take notes. I left a message. I sent a text. You know, then you know you can pick up where you left off the next time. That's a really big deal. Was anything meaningful to you all today?
Yes, I guess to get closer to your database, get to know them better, so that way they remember you and they will think about you first than somebody else.
Do any of y'all do open houses for other agents? Okay, yeah. Man, for all summer long, there were no open houses to be had. And if we got a listing, we wanted to do it ourselves. That will change. Be watching for that. I encourage you guys to get in and do open houses. It is the best way. People walk in the door. Tell you a story. I had an agent on my team. She was getting licensed and no, she was licensed. She was licensed, yeah. And she was not getting any leads at open houses and nothing was working. And so finally one day I said, I'm gonna go do an open house with you. I'm just gonna be there and I'm kind of to coach her and all that stuff. Because I want all of y'all to succeed. There is enough business for all of us, period. There is, okay? And we're here to help each other. That's what Keller Williams is all about, which is really cool. So we're sitting in there at the open house. Somebody opens up the door and she goes full steam ahead at that door. Hi, how are you guys? I mean, and I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, no wonder. So think about what works for you, because that wasn't working for anybody, like nobody. I'm like, oh my gosh, go stand in the kitchen and let me just, hey guys, how are you? My name's Susan. I'm the listing agent. You know, just soft, hey, here's an information sheet. A lot like Paulina was telling you guys. I'm not here to keep you from looking at the house. I'm going to take a step back, let you guys look around, and I would love to give my sellers your feedback when you're done looking at the house. It's the least I owe them for being here today. And letting them go. So figure out what works for you, but open houses are just, they're brilliant. So, okay. Any behavior changes or actions y'all are going to take? Because I'm going to be looking at y'all in the hallway and being like, okay, just set up that car thing. Have you reached out to your school to see who you can, yeah. Anything? Okay.
Frog.
You're gonna eat the frog.
Frog.
Oh, I was gonna go back to that too. I know it's not what you're looking for right now, but I have 4 children. I cannot wait to use that.
We have a lot of fun with that. Okay, guys, tools and model systems. The Command is brilliant. And by the way, I've been bragging on Krista. That's her back there. So everybody meet Krista.
Hi, Krista.
Everybody loves Krista. My kids are scared of Krista. It's really funny. They're like, oh, Krista, we don't want her. Yeah, I love it. Okay. Try and have your 10 conversations, 10 contacts, 10 handwritten notes. You guys doing all this stuff? Oscar's not, I can tell. No. When I see you in the hallway, I'm like, are you doing it? Social media, gosh, please use it. It's so powerful. It's really a great tool. I actually lost my Facebook page about a year ago. So I'm rebuilding now. And it's been a great format to reach out to people and say, hey, I sent you a friend request. That's really me and all that. We talked about this at the beginning of the class. Do not do this. Don't get in trouble. Okay. If you call and they say, I'm gonna do not call list, say, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure I document that. Okay.
That White Pages premium, do they filter that no call list or no?
Krista, do you know anything about that?
I don't know.
I really don't trust those because it changes so constantly. I know there's programs you can pay for, and they're pretty costly that say they scrub it, but I don't
How
know.
much do we pay for a premium?
For White Pages premium? I don't know, like 25-ish a month or something like that. I don't think that's scrubbed for do not call.
No, it's not scrubbed.
Yeah,
So
we
you still
usually
need to run it through
use
Do
that
Not
just to
Call.
stop.
But we use it, Krista finds when people send back, when we get Christmas cards or calendars back and they get returned, then she starts looking.
Or just any lead. I mean, we'll see, okay, this is number, and it's not totally accurate, but it's not always correct. So it's, yeah.
When I met my husband, she told me, she goes, I checked him out for you already, so it's.
Some people on Facebook.
Yes.
We want to know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. I told him the people on the news were our clients, so anyway. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. I hope that if you got any message today, it's be in a relationship, care about people. How many times do you go to the doctor and they're like, I'm just a number here, I don't care. And then the ones that stop typing and turn to you, I had this happen recently. Stopped typing. I made one comment, she stopped, turned to me, and we had this mom to mom conversation all of a sudden in the doctor's office. And I was like, oh my gosh, she cares about me. That's what I want you guys to get from today is that's how you keep the lead. That's how that continues. So. Okay, you guys are gonna have to do your role play. We're out of time, but anyway, if you want, I will stay. If anybody wants to engage me in role play, I never liked it either, but I will tell you, it is the best way to do it. It's serious and it will come very natural if you will do it. So I'm here, I'll stay. I don't want to keep you guys any longer. And then I want you guys to be thinking about who else you're gonna talk to, okay?
So how you doing?
Chance on money, carpool. Is she back?
Oh, yeah.
Probably the
Yeah.
best place for her,
I
right?
know.
Actually scrub the numbers.
You know,
That way,
That's good.
like, where do I go
Because they
to
send
find
it
that information?
That's a first question.
They sent her home
Kristen,
5 days
how do we
early,
scrub?
but
Do
she's
you
supposed to
look
be
at,
born.
did not call lists very often?
And she was griping about the food. She's telling me she's bragging on the food. But thank you for the notes.
Yeah, oh, of course, I'm glad you found them. I didn't even think to say,
Yeah.
hey, check your spam.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, oh, no. I did not.
But I appreciate it.
I did not, yeah.
But yeah, we really don't.
Text you.
We don't have an
It has nothing to do with
opportunity at one point.
Thank you.
So yeah, someone
Safe.
should scrub it. I can't even remember.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, we just don't have a lot of, like, we usually know the person. Some experience.
Fair enough, thank you.
So when they come in. you're
This is
looking at
Stefan.
Yes, sir.
Very
Stephen.
much say.
Steph. And Dawn, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Once, you know, it's the strangest thing. I have a hard time remembering people's name until I Facebook friend them. And once I do, it's like solidified forever. I don't know what it is about that.
And then.
Really?
But as soon as we were friends on Facebook, it
So I
just
have the
clicked
same
and I'm like,
problem.
okay,
I'll
well,
sit
you're
there
forever
and
now.
Right on. Wish my old brain would think like that. It's getting suckered out. I'm like,
Have a good one.
you too, buddy.
I never closed it. But, and I remember them, so I'll feel my, they're like, you know, you remember us? I'm like, yeah, but then I don't follow up.
We heard a lot about you.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
it was all-
She brags on
It
me
was
way
all
too
good.
much.
Huh?
They said she brags on me way too much.
I don't know. I don't know, what she's saying was accurate, I tell you. She got a really good reason to be.
I stuck around long enough.
Right, how long you been doing it?
I've been with her since 2012.
Stay in the
Since
office. Just make
2012?
sure it's not.
Well, that's been a while.
I want your contact
Yeah.
information because I'm gonna
Cool.
run the heck out of you.
That's what makes a good team, right?
It's never gonna work, but the market's shifting and I want to be your person that
Yeah.
tells me. what's going on. So if you wouldn't mind giving me your phone and email address, I will not take advantage of that, can't go anywhere else, but I will.
Pete's sake.
And I'd love to. Love for you to trust me. they say, nah, I'm not gonna give you,
All right, have a great week.
then that's awesome, great. I'll be here next, I'm sure I'll run into you. And I was running into the same people at open houses for a while and they're like, oh, yeah. And it's really cool when they walk in and they're like, Oscar.
Players
You're
on.
like,
Okay, do you have a card?
I do.
but I challenge you to stay,
Yeah,
I'm
yes.
not here to.
Huh?
Of course, of course. I'm old school, but I need to do your.
Here's the information. I
Well,
am gonna ask you for
I
some
think
feedback.
that's so much more handier because those get lost.
Step back.
Yeah, and
I use my phone for everything. And so, but I do like these still, though. I think I will still get some of these.
You know where our office is.
I'm at the door.
I want an invite to that car show. That'll be cool. I
They're
hope
gonna
you'll
have their
do that.
phone with them. It's easy, just go, hey, here's my contact info.
I just gotta. take-
Right.
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Start planning it now, because it won't
Not that I have a lot
happen
of
with all these
experience
people
with
to
that, but
pay for
that's
you. So I would
stuff in
encourage you
theory.
to start making phone calls to find
We're
out,
trying to catch up to all this technology.
like
But
where you can get
But
the
you're here.
covers.
I know, right?
Charity you might
So,
want it
it,
to benefit
that's
to do
easy.
that.
Man.
If there's any
That's
lenders that, or
I'm not
any
sure if I'm gonna
vendors
use
that you say, I would love to do something with you, go to them and say, do you have any ideas? Can we have coffee over it? I'm wanting to build my database and lead base and stuff like that. Highly
That's what was going
suggest you
on.
take some
That was
action
good,
to do that today.
That exacerbated.
you guys, maybe not tomorrow, but she's been.
Oh, my word. So check this out, we just found out that she had a.
And we've already got a parking issue, so it
Right.
may or may not
And
work.
I researched it, and
But,
those
I would
could be having a
encourage
lot
you
to do
to
with her